Hey everybody, this is Mark from Mark's Home Hobbies. Yeah, what you're looking at right here is RAMPS 1.4 powered CNC setup. Yeah, custom firmware by yours truly with CNC coordinate. Running on the tiny little ThinkPad here. What is it? Z61, yeah. Can't even buy this one in the United States. Core 2 Duo 64-bit jabber there. $20 special. Anyways, what I did was I took apart a 3D printer that I built before. And so I had some stepper motors laying around. Some end stops. And of course the ever popular RAMPS 1.4. And even a little cooling fan. And that's all plugged into this thing, and that's running Repetier host right now. And I'm going to show you how it works in just a second here. There's the power supply right there. It's just a little small guy, but it seems to do the trick. We'll see how it works on CNC, I guess. This here's the power supply for the laptop, so we're running on full power too. Not balanced mode, no Wi-Fi, none of that. Just one USB connection, all power, all sleep modes, and hibernation is disabled. Strictly pure, computing power. So anyways, without further ado, if we wanted to test out and see what was going on with this machine, which is the way I kind of build these things, I put them together. If you want to take a close look at that, that's how you install those drivers with the little adjustment screw going towards this side. And if you're going to use this for CNC, you're probably going to want to have one of these blowing onto it at some point. So, and then some machines have a dual motor on one of the axes. Now, this board has provision for dual Z motors. But most boards don't use that are routers don't use dual Z. They use a dual X or a dual Y. More so dual Y because it's a longer span for most units. So, yeah, and on the X or the Y, usually there's a dual. So there's two ways you can go about it. You can either use another driver, and you can put it in one of these unused slots right here for the extruder. And you can drive a whole, and you can enter some code in here, and add it to your Marlin code that you install to the machine here through Arduino, and you can add that extra axis in there. But you can also do it another way, and that's to just make a splitter cable and have two plugs coming off of it. And then what you got to do is turn up your current in the little screw there with a plastic screwdriver. Turn up the current a little bit there, and really you shouldn't have any problems if your machine is adjusted correctly. You should be good to go. If it blows out a driver, get a bigger driver. What difference does it make what driver you put in there, as long as you got it in the right way and it delivers enough current so that you can drive two motors with it, which these are small motors too. They're very tiny little jobs, NEMA 17s. There's even smaller ones than that too, but these ones here work just fine. This isn't a particularly new setup either. This RAMPS has been around for a long time. Even though I'm only using the X, Y, and Z, the three axes, I've still got the crossover cables connected here for the extruder, but I don't have an extruder hooked up. To compensate for the error on the thermistor, I've just plugged in a thermistor for right now, but I'm going to replace that with a 100K resistor or something like that on a jumper eventually, and see how that works. I'm pretty sure it'll work just fine. So anyways, after all that talking, here's how you would do it if you wanted to home your machine, at the very beginning, and you wanted to just to go to where you have the home set up for, which would equate to where the dot is located, whatever corner the dot is located at on this particular indication panel over here. The illustration of the 3D process. You can also move it like this, using these particular arrows, any direction you want to move it, or the Z over here. If you have a hot end, this is where you would squirt the filament. But don't worry about it other than that. This button right here is actually a power button, so if you click this, you will disengage all your axes from power, even though your power will remain on to the boards and everything. So it's very handy for when you want to move to a position and set that position manually using the Arduino screen and the panel and the little clicker knob on the screen, which I have not got attached to it yet, but I'm using the computer to tune it right now, and then after it's done we'll be able to use that screen in order to do this. So anyways, back to what I was saying. If you initially you want to home the machine so the machine knows where its machine zeros are at. So you would click this button right here. Now once I click that, you're going to notice that happening right there. The X starts traveling. Now what's happening is the X is going to start traveling towards 0, and then when it hits 0, this little switch, we're going to push it, and that's going to start the next axis homing towards 0, which is Y. And then when we get to Y, we hit this switch right here, and then it's going to start homing Z until it gets to 0 there and hits this switch, and guess what? You're all done. And your numbers now right here are black. And now your machine is ready to load G-code. You can load the G-code by hitting that plus button there and picking the file, STL file, or yeah, it's STL on this one. So yeah, we're still playing around with the CNC motions yet, but I think there's a converter or something out there that converts the G-code over to it. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I'll have to check it out and see what's going on more fully. Anyways, I'm kind of glad that all that worked, because now I can set my buddies up. We're having a little bit of problems with his, but now I think I got a grip on what needs to happen, and I think that's going to work out just fine. So if you stuck around this long and you wanted to see how I've got my RAMPS 1.4 set up for my CNC project that I'm working on for a friend, I wanted to test it because he has the machine at his house, but I wanted to get a working configuration loaded onto this machine so I could load the same thing onto his and then hook up the same exact equipment, and then I'm going to know that it's going to work right away, and there's not going to be any more messing around for, trying to get it to work. So anyways, this is Mark with Mark's Home Hobby saying, I hope you enjoy CNCing with RAMPS 1.4. Talk to you in the next one. Have a good day.